Hello everyone and welcome to the basic guide to playing Genji. In this video I'm going to talk about 3 things that I'll summarise for you now so you know exactly what you're getting yourself into. The first is his mobility and how you should be using it. The second is his engagement distance. And the third is when to use your Dragon Blade.
Stand together, die together.
Thanks for tuning in to the basic guide to Genji. We're going to kick this straight off by going over his abilities. His first ability, which is his passive, is called Cyber Agility. This means Genji can climb walls and perform a double jump. It's quite simple, it just means he's extremely mobile. His basic attack or first ability is called Shuriken. This is a linear projectile in a 3-round burst that does 28 damage per projectile. It has a rate of fire of 1 burst per second, and he can let loose 24 of these before having to reload, which takes 1 second. These projectiles can also headshot. His alternate fire is called Fan of Blades, which is another take on his primary attack. Instead of throwing them all in a straight line, he'll throw 3 shurikens in a wider spread. His first active ability is called Deflect. It's exactly what it says on the tin. You can deflect any projectile coming towards you for 2 seconds. It's good to note when I say projectile, I mean anything that's like a bullet or flying at you, so bullets, arrows, flying balls, things like that. Stuff that you cannot block is energy weapons, lightning, and turret shots. His next ability is called Swift Strike. This is a short dash forward and it will do 50 damage to anyone it passes. It has a range of 14 meters roughly and it'll take 8 seconds before you can use it again. It's also good to know if Genji eliminates a target, he can instantly use this ability again. And finally onto his ultimate, called Dragon Blade. This is one of the more difficult ultimates to use as Genji will pull his sword from his sheath for a brief period of time and he will do melee damage to anyone within range. The damage is 120 per swing and you have a maximum range of 5 meters. The ultimate lasts for 8 seconds and it's good to know whilst using this ability you gain no protections or health whatsoever. You are as vulnerable as you normally are. So now that's out of the way, let's go into the 3 things I wanted to talk about. So the first was using Genji's mobility. So Genji is a hero that is constantly jumping up and down, jumping off of walls, using flanks. He's one of the most mobile heroes in the entire game, maybe even more so than Pharah, just because Pharah has a cooldown on her jetpack, so she has to shoot up in the air and it's another 8 or so seconds before she can use it again. With Genji he can jump up and off of walls, do double jumps, backflips, whatever the hell he likes. He can do that whenever he likes, as long as there's a surface around that he can climb up. One of the best uses you can use for this, other than just staying mobile and being really fucking annoying to hit, is that if you're having trouble getting past a difficult choke point, you can easily scramble up a wall or find an alternative path to get onto the point. That will distract the enemy who's currently guarding the choke point and not letting any of your other teammates pass, who will then have to come to you to take you off the point, and by doing so will hopefully help your team push through that choke point because there'll be less people defending it. A great example is Volskaya Industries. On this map you can flank around the left side, which I've done so in a Diva video, but you can also do it with Genji and several other heroes. Another example of a map that you can do this on is Temple of Anubis as the attacking team. So to start off with, there's a massive choke right off the bat. You have to go through these really huge sort of columns. It's just one big ass door. But the annoying thing is it's really easy to defend. Unless you have a well coordinated team, it's normally quite difficult to push through this point. If you have a Genji, you can climb over the top of it and use your mobility to either sneak directly above them by using a double jump and a dash onto the point, or you can sneak to the side by using a double jump and a dash and then sneak around all the way back and jump onto the point. This will distract them from the immediate choke point that your team face. They'll have to get you off of the point, otherwise they'll lose it, which should give your team a little bit more slack to get through to the objective. Now moving on to the engagement distance, Genji is not a long range character. He can do a lot of damage at long range because his abilities do not have any drop off. However, because they're projectiles, they travel slowly, and unless you're going up against someone who has really bad reactions, you will not be able to get kills very often using this sort of stay back and jump around flowing shurikens and hope they hit the target roll. Genji is best played in a close to medium distance. That means that he'll be able to get his combos off and do damage and actually reliably hit his basic attacks. Basically, you need to play Genji relatively close but not too close in order to hit his basic attacks and do all the damage that you can. It's also really handy to be able to see the enemies that you're facing so that when they are eventually shooting you, you can see where you're going to deflect to. Finally, we'll move on to when to use his ultimate. I pointed this out when doing the quick ability overview, but Genji is no more durable than normal when using his ultimate. Whilst you may seem like this amazing cyber ninja chopping through the enemies as soon as you use it, especially with that amazing audio cue, you are especially vulnerable and more likely easier to kill than normal just because you are within the enemy rather than further away picking them off with basic attacks. They'll easily be able to knock you away and kill you, or knock you off and kill you, or stun you and kill you. In order to get a good Dragon Blade off, you need to assess the enemy, drop down where they're not expecting it, sort of like a Reaper, and just go to town on them. Make sure they are especially distracted by the rest of your team. This is normally most effective when the enemy team is really closely defending an objective. They're really focused on that one point and making sure it doesn't go that extra 5 feet to lose them the game. So when that opening is there, use this, get behind them, slay them all. Since you do relatively good damage with your Dragon Blade, it's always good to target the low base health heroes first, such as Symmetra, Mercy, or Tracer if you can. I know she's a slippery little bugger. If you can do this, you'll be able to chain your swift strikes easily, as when you kill someone, your swift strike will come off of cooldown. So it's good to slice someone up, make sure they're dead, swift strike to the next person, slice them up, make sure they're dead, and so on. Okay, so moving on to matchups. Who is Genji good against? Let's get the elephant out of the room first. Genji is almost a hard counter to stupid bastions. As you saw at the start of the video, Genji's deflect can completely destroy a bastion that is not prepared for it. And if that's not enough, thanks to his high mobility, he can also quickly get around the back of bastion or an unawares bastion to take him by surprise and destroy him with headshots. Next up is his brother Hanzo, which is very odd. You have to watch out for Hanzo. His scatter arrow will completely destroy you. However, other than that, Hanzo has trouble dealing with more mobile targets at close range, so heroes like Tracer and Genji. Just make sure you're jumping around all over the place, jumping off of walls and doing some damage, and he'll be an easy target for Genji. Finally, he's also great against Widowmaker due to her usual preference to stay in the back lines and just stay still and snipe people. Genji, he can either pick her off at range with a couple of shuriken strikes if she's not very mobile, or he can just use his mobility to get around the back and completely destroy her up close. Heroes you should avoid. I'm going to say the normal two here. McCree, he can instantly stun and kill you even after his Fan the Hammer nerf, and Mei, because her slowing effect just annoys everyone. Finally, he's not great against Torbjorn, and the reason because of that is his turret is a pain in the arse. If you can pick it off at range, great, but normally you'll be in range of the turret due to objective and the good placement of a turret if you're against an effective Torbjorn. Unless you have other teammates helping you, you will take considerable damage from the turret alone, and using your deflect won't really do enough damage back to the turret. Finally, I'm going to leave you with one tip. I know I normally do 3, but I think I've talked about Genji a little bit too much in this basic guide, so I'm going to leave you with 1. And this is his basic up-close combo, if you can pull it off. Just like Roadhog has a great combo, Genji also has a great combo which involves animation cancelling. The only problem is you have to be quite close in order to pull it off and get the most damage out of it. First off, you'll need to fan of blades and try to make sure all of your shurikens hit the target as they spread out instead of going straight. You'll then need to melee them and then instantly cancel this with a dash through them. Alternatively, you can do another fan of blades if you so choose. Thanks very much for watching my basic guide to Genji. Perhaps I'll be back next week with another video. If you like this, please press that thumbs up button and subscribe. If you didn't, that thumbs down button is right there next to it. Either way, I'll see you next time.